Am I overreacting for wanting to break up our engagement after my fiance's diagnosis? David and I met when we were 24. He was funny, kind, intelligent, everything I wanted in a partner. He's always been a bigger guy. When we met, he was probably around 280 pounds at 5'10". He's always struggled with his weight, and both sides of his family have extensive histories of type 2 diabetes. His dad has it, his mom has it, both grandparents on both sides had it. This wasn't a question of if he developed diabetes, it was a question of when. I knew this as going into the relationship. David knew it too. We talked about it early on, actually, during one of those deep late-night conversations you have when you're first dating. He told me he was terrified of becoming diabetic like his parents, of having to deal with insulin and blood sugar monitoring, and all the complications that come with poorly managed diabetes. I told him that if he was that worried about it, we could work on his health together. I've always been pretty active. I go to the gym regularly, I enjoy hiking, I cook healthy meals. I told him I'd support him however he needed. He said he appreciated that, and for the first couple years of our relationship, he did make some effort. He'd come to the gym with me occasionally. He'd eat the healthy dinners I made without complaint, but he never really committed to any lasting change. The gym visits would taper off after a few weeks. He'd eat healthy at home, but then stop for fast food on his way to or from work. I didn't push it too hard because I didn't want to be the nagging girlfriend. I figured he was an adult who could make his own choices about his body and his health. Then, about 5 years ago, we hit a major problem that I couldn't ignore. We stopped being able to have penetrative sex. It started gradually. David would have trouble getting fully hard, or he'd lose his erection partway through. At first, it was occasional, maybe once every few times we tried to have sex. Then, it became more frequent. Then it became the norm. He told me he couldn't feel much sensation during sex. Everything felt numb, distant. He was frustrated and embarrassed. And honestly, so was I. Not because I judged him for it, but because I knew exactly what this was a symptom of. Erectile dysfunction and loss of sensation are classic early warning signs of diabetes. The high blood sugar damages nerves and blood vessels, including the ones necessary for sexual function. This was his body literally screaming at him that something was wrong. I begged him to go see a doctor. David, this is serious. This isn't just about sex. This is a symptom of something bigger. You need to get your blood sugar tested. You need to know what's happening. He refused. His reasoning? He was afraid they'd blood test him and confirm he had diabetes, and then he'd know for sure and have to deal with it. I remember staring at him in disbelief. You'd rather not know? You'd rather just let it get worse? I'm going to fix it on my own, he said. I'll lose weight. I'll download a calorie tracking app. I'll get this under control, and then I won't have to worry about it. So he downloaded MyFitnessPal. He logged his food for maybe 3 days. Then he stopped. He'd talk about going to the gym tomorrow, but tomorrow never came. He'd start a new diet every few months, keto, intermittent fasting, calorie counting, and stick with it for maybe a week before I'd find fast food wrappers hidden in his car. We fought about it constantly. I'd find evidence of his secret eating, receipts from McDonald's, empty Taco Bell bags shoved under the seat, Wendy's cups in his cup holder. He'd get defensive and tell me he was doing his best and that I needed to back off and stop policing his food. But I wasn't trying to police him. I was trying to save him from himself. Meanwhile, our sex life completely died. We tried other things, oral, hands, toys, but the emotional intimacy that comes with penetrative sex was just gone. And it created this distance between us that neither of us really knew how to address. I suggested couples therapy. He said we didn't need it, that once he lost weight, everything would go back to normal. 5 years passed like this. 5 years of broken promises, half-hearted diet attempts, and me watching the man I love slowly deteriorate while insisting everything was fine. Then, about 4 months ago, I noticed something. We were watching TV on the couch and David had his socks off. I glanced down at his feet and saw a dark spot on the bottom of his right foot, near the ball of his foot. It looked like a blister or a sore. Hey, what's that on your foot? I asked. He looked down. Oh, I don't know. Probably just a blister from my shoes. But it didn't look like a normal blister. The skin around it looked discolored. The center looked dark, almost black. David, that looks like a diabetic foot ulcer. You need to see a doctor. He pulled his foot away. It's nothing. It'll heal on its own. Diabetic ulcers don't heal on their own. That's the whole problem. If you have diabetes and you have a wound like that, it can get infected, it can get gangrenous. David, you could lose your foot. You're being dramatic, he said. It's a blister. I'll keep an eye on it. I wanted to scream, but I took a breath and tried a different approach. Okay, will you at least let me help you care for it? Keep it clean and bandaged? I'll take care of it, he said. He didn't take care of it. Over the next several weeks, I watched that sore get bigger. The skin around it became more discolored. He started limping slightly. I'd ask him about it, and he'd insist it was getting better or almost healed. We fought about it constantly. I begged him to see a doctor. I cried. I pleaded. I got angry. I tried gentle encouragement. I tried tough love. Nothing worked. I'll go next week, he'd say. Next week would come and go. No doctor appointment. I don't have time right now. Work is busy. Work was always busy. I'll make an appointment after the holidays. The holidays came and went. 2 months after I first noticed the wound, I smelled it. We were in the bedroom, and I caught this horrible, sickly sweet smell, like rotting meat mixed with something chemical. I thought maybe food had gone bad in the kitchen, but when David took his sock off to change clothes, the smell intensified. The wound was now the size of a quarter. The center was black and necrotic. The edges were red and angry. And it was oozing, a yellowish-white discharge that had soaked into his sock. I felt physically sick. David, that wound is infected. It's rotting. You have to see a doctor. Today. Right now. I'll call tomorrow and make an appointment. No! I was yelling now. Not tomorrow. Now. We are going to urgent care right now, or I'm calling an ambulance. He looked at me like I was crazy. You're overreacting. Your foot is literally rotting, and you think I'm overreacting? We had the worst fight we'd ever had. I told him that if he didn't make a doctor's appointment within 24 hours, I was leaving. I couldn't watch him do this to himself anymore. I couldn't be a passive observer while he slowly killed himself through denial and negligence. He got angry. He said I was being controlling, that it was his body and his choice, that I was making everything worse with my stress and pressure. I went to stay at my sister's house for 2 days. When I came back, David told me he'd made an appointment with a podiatrist for the following week. A week. Not the next day, not urgent care, but a full week away. The wound was so bad by that point that I could smell it whenever I was in the same room as him. He was limping noticeably, but he insisted that the appointment he'd made was soon enough. When the appointment finally came, I insisted on going with him. He didn't want me there, but I told him I was coming whether he liked it or not. The podiatrist was a middle-aged woman who took one look at David's foot, and her expression went from professional to horrified to angry in about 3 seconds. How long have you had this wound? She asked. Maybe a month. David lied. Try 3 months, I said. I first saw it 3 months ago and told him to come see a doctor. He refused. The podiatrist looked at David with barely concealed disgust. This is one of the worst diabetic foot ulcers I've seen in a patient who's still walking around. This is infected. It's necrotic. You're at serious risk for sepsis and potential amputation if this doesn't get aggressive treatment immediately. David went pale. She continued, I need to debride this wound, which is going to hurt. I'm prescribing strong antibiotics. You need to see a general practitioner immediately to get your blood sugar tested and managed. And you need daily wound care, cleaning, antibacterial ointment, fresh bandages. This wound cannot be allowed to stay moist or dirty for even a few hours. She spent the next 20 minutes cleaning the wound, cutting away dead tissue while David gritted his teeth in pain. The smell was overwhelming. I had to step out of the room twice because I thought I was going to vomit. When she was done, she bandaged it up and handed me, not David, but me, a printed list of wound care instructions. You'll need to do this twice a day, every day until this heals. He won't be able to reach it himself, given his size and flexibility limitations. So the wound care became my responsibility. Every morning and every evening, I unwrap his foot, clean the wound with saline solution, apply antibacterial ointment, and re-bandage it. It takes about 15 minutes each time, and it's one of the most unpleasant things I've ever had to do regularly. The wound is healing now. It's smaller, less angry looking, doesn't smell as bad, but it's been 4 months, and it's still not fully healed. The podiatrist visit seemed to scare David. He finally made an appointment with a general practitioner. It's scheduled for next week. After we left the podiatrist's office, we sat in the car and I told him we needed to talk. David, I love you. I want to marry you. I want to spend my life with you. But I can't do this anymore. I can't watch you destroy yourself while refusing to take basic care of your health. He started to interrupt, and I held up my hand. Let me finish. The GP is going to test your blood sugar. You're going to be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. We both know that's what's happening here. And when that happens, your life has to change. Immediately. Completely. No more denial, no more half measures, no more, I'll start tomorrow. I took a breath. I will be with you every step of the way. I will support you however you need. I will cook diabetic-friendly meals. I will go to appointments with you. I will help you figure out how to manage this. But you have to meet me halfway. You have to actually do the work. That means no more cheating on your diet, no more secret fast food runs, no more skipping exercise, no more ignoring doctor's orders. You have to be disciplined. You have to take this seriously, because if you don't, you're going to lose your foot, or your leg, or your eyesight, or your kidneys, or your life. I was crying by this point. I can't watch that happen. I can't marry someone who won't take care of themselves. So if you can't commit to this, really commit, not just say you will, then we need to talk about whether this engagement is going to work. David was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I hear you. I'm going to do better. I'm scared now. This scared me. I'm going to make changes. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But then he said, but I need you to change your tone. The way you talk to me about this, it's harsh. It's judgmental. I need you to be more supportive and less critical. I don't respond well to that kind of approach. I sat there in stunned silence. I had just spent 4 months begging him to see a doctor. I'd watched his foot rot. I'd smelled the infection. I'd become his unpaid home healthcare worker, dressing his wound twice a day. I delivered ultimatums and cried and pleaded. And his response was that I needed to adjust my tone? That comment about my tone made something crystallize for me. David doesn't want to change. He wants me to stop pushing him to change. He spent the last 5 years making promises he had no intention of keeping. He's downloaded apps he never used, started diets he immediately abandoned, made gym plans he never followed through on. He's lied to me, hidden evidence of his eating, and refused medical care until his body was literally falling apart. And now, faced with the consequences of years of neglect, his priority isn't, how do I fix this? It's, how do I get Rachel to stop being so mean about it? I've been enabling him. I realize that now. By staying, by accepting his broken promises, by believing him every time he said, I'll start tomorrow, I've been teaching him that there are no real consequences for his inaction. He knew I wouldn't actually leave. He knew that no matter how angry I got or how much I cried, I'd still be there. So why would he change? The wound scared him, yes, but I don't think it scared him enough. Because if it had truly scared him enough, he wouldn't be tone policing me right now. He'd be at the gym, he'd be meal prepping, he'd be researching diabetes management strategies. Instead, he's making excuses and shifting blame. I told him I needed some space to think. I've been staying at my sister's place again for the past week. I go back to our apartment twice a day to do his wound care because I'm not cruel enough to abandon that responsibility. But otherwise, I'm keeping my distance. His GP appointment is in 3 days. I told him I'd go with him. And depending on how that appointment goes, and more importantly, how he responds in the weeks and months after, I'll make my decision about the engagement. Because here's what I know. I can't save someone who won't save themselves. I can cook healthy meals, but I can't stop him from secret fast food runs. I can buy a gym membership, but I can't force him to use it. I can make doctor appointments, but I can't make him follow medical advice. I can dress his wounds, but I can't make him take care of his body before it gets to the point of wounds. All I can do is decide whether I'm willing to spend the rest of my life watching someone I love slowly deteriorate because they refuse to take responsibility for their own health. Let me tell you what I've learned about uncontrolled diabetes, because I think a lot of people don't really understand how serious this is. Type 2 diabetes, when poorly managed, destroys your body from the inside out. It damages your blood vessels, which is why diabetics have higher rates of heart attacks and strokes. It damages your nerves, which is why David lost sensation during sex and why diabetic neuropathy is so common. It damages your kidneys. Diabetic nephropathy is one of the leading causes of kidney failure in the United States. It damages your eyes. Diabetic retinopathy can cause blindness. It impairs wound healing, which is why that foot ulcer became such a nightmare. It increases infection risk. It can lead to amputations, toes, feet, legs, and all of this is preventable or manageable with proper medical care, diet, exercise, and medication compliance. But you have to actually do those things. David's parents are perfect examples of what happens when you don't. His dad has already had 2 toes amputated. His mom is on dialysis because her kidneys failed. Both of them are on multiple medications. Both deal with chronic pain from neuropathy. Both have restricted their quality of life because they didn't take their diabetes seriously early on. David has watched this happen to both his parents. He knows exactly where he's headed if he doesn't make changes. And yet, for 5 years, he did nothing. Even now, with a rotting wound on his foot that required aggressive medical intervention, he's more concerned about my tone than about his health. What happens in 5 more years? 10 years? 20 years? Do I want to be the wife who's taking care of a husband who's had multiple amputations because he refused to follow his doctor's orders? Do I want to be driving him to dialysis 3 times a week? Do I want to watch him go blind? Because that's the future I'm looking at if David doesn't fundamentally change his approach to his health. So here's where I am. I've told David that I need to see real, sustained change before I'm willing to move forward with the wedding. The wedding is currently scheduled for next summer, about 10 months away. I've told him that if he can't demonstrate consistent commitment to his health over the next few months, I'm calling it off. What does consistent commitment mean? It means going to all doctor appointments and following all medical advice, taking any prescribed medications exactly as directed, tracking his food intake honestly, and staying within his recommended calories and macros. Exercising at least 4 times per week, even if it's just walking. No secret eating, no lying about food, no hiding fast food wrappers. Active participation in his own care. Not just relying on me to manage everything. I've also told him that I need to see him take initiative. I can't be the one constantly reminding him, scheduling his appointments, doing all the research, making all the meals. He's a grown adult. He needs to take ownership of his own health. If he can do that, if he can show me over the next 4 months that he's truly committed to managing his diabetes and taking care of himself, then I'll feel confident moving forward with the marriage. If he can't, then I'm out. I know that sounds harsh. I know some people will think I'm abandoning him when he needs me most. But I'm not his mother, and I'm not his nurse. I'm supposed to be his partner, and partnership requires effort from both people. I've given him 5 years of second chances. I've begged, pleaded, cried, threatened, supported, and encouraged. I've done everything I can possibly do. Now it's on him. I love David. I truly do. If he can turn this around, if he can take this diagnosis and use it as the wake-up call he needs to finally take his health seriously, I would be thrilled to marry him. But I'm not holding my breath, because people don't change unless they want to change. And right now, I'm not sure David wants to change. I think he wants his health problems to magically disappear without him having to put in any work. I think he wants me to fix everything for him while he continues doing what he's always done. And that's not sustainable, not for a marriage, not for a life together. So I'm giving him a few months. I'm going to support him as best I can, while also protecting my own emotional well-being and my own future. And if he can't step up, then I'll know I did everything I could, and I'll walk away with a clear conscience. Because I deserve a partner who values himself enough to take care of himself, who values our future together enough to make hard changes, who values me enough to not ask me to spend the rest of my life watching him slowly die from preventable complications. Am I overreacting? I don't think so. I think I'm finally reacting appropriately after 5 years of underreacting, and honestly, that's long overdue.